Shekina Karen looks like she's been ignored by Diana Codes. I kind of saw that coming.
What, in the beef?
Yeah,
the proposed
it's a
beef?
very one-sided beef. It's a proposed beef. That's I'm sorry. That's a proposed beef is so sad. That's so sad.
petition.
Don't you see how sad that is?
It's terrible to get ignored in a beef too. Like, that's the worst thing. Imagine you just gearing up your all and spending all night writing the fierest diss track, and then it's just like
ukiona tukimoku na form kumeja kongo ya magazala ona vile bashi metron utajua leo ni kumwazara ni kumwazara ni kumwazara utajua leo ni kumwazara ni kumwazara ni kumwazara utajua leo ni kumwazara hisi mahali ya lukuchafua vimwazara ungebeba kiboyu kabala tambala karata somofonika hata glass kumbuka pombe si supu karibia hata tap vile ngoma ina gugu kuchunga hata tak ambia weta kutibu tuna matialala ni nusu ya siku tunazishashika nazisikia ndani ya njumu ndani ya maadeda habari ga kwani form ni ga.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the 30% podcast. My name is Sam. I am here with Afam. This is episode 125. Right? Yes, 125. And we are here.
And we are here, man.
What's going
up,
on,
guys? How are you guys doing?
Yeah, how are you guys doing?
I'm good, bro.
Tell us about your week and
yeah, man, bro. My week has been good, man. A bit, because I've actually left the country on Saturday.
Ooh.
And yeah, man, had a good time back home. It was pretty cool, but all fun things must come to an end. So hopped on a flight. So now I'm back in Brooklyn. The flight was so long, bro.
Yeah.
It was 15 hours long. Felt like
I can't stand
death. I'm not gonna lie.
I can't stand
bro,
long
it's
flights,
horrible. It's horrific. And you can never find a good position to sleep. And it's just like,
way.
yeah.
You can't find a good position to do anything. Honestly, nothing.
Yeah.
Like a 5-hour flight for me
Yeah,
is absolute. Like I get frustrated after the first hour because you're just sitting there, and I'm not the kind to sleep on planes because like what? Why? Why put yourself in such a?
It's hard. It's hard. So yeah, man.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I think that was the highlight of my week. No, it wasn't. To be honest, there was another highlight. Got put on the Apple Music playlist. That was really crazy.
Yo, and shout out to you too, man, because me and Stacey ended up on the playlist as well.
I know, bro. Yeah. So that was a really, really cool thing to happen, honestly.
Yeah.
Genuinely, just one of those moments in life where you just kind of sit down and are like, damn,
The milestone
that's
event.
actually insane.
Milestone.
Yeah, exactly. So shout out to the people at Apple Music, man. Carl, Greg, y'all are some amazing people for just like, listening to the
Shout out to
music,
Carl
man.
and
Like,
Greg.
honestly.
Yeah.
Shout out to Carl and Greg, bro. Yeah, man, that was my week. How about yours?
Fantastico. I people could probably hear. There's a slight congestion. Slight is an understatement. I was working over the weekend, and it was like one of those ones where you leave the house super early. At least on the day of the show, you leave the house super early. Because I had forgotten something. Or rather, it was probably my fault because we're just doing so much during the day that I forgot my laptop charger way across the city. So I had to go and get it and come back and then do what I need to do, then go back. So I woke up really early, and then got back home like the next day. So I think it had been like a week of just like preparing for the show and stuff like that. So Sunday came, show was over, woke up and my body was like, alrighty. You're sick now. We will not do anything. So the whole week I've just been battling like a little bit of influenza. which has been going around, honestly. And I really hate it. I might have said this before, but I hate it when I get a cold when everyone gets cold. Like, that's so mainstream. It's so mainstream to get a cold when everyone has it. Like, it's so pop.
It's mainstream to get a cold, bro. Why are you so hip? You're such a not hippie. What's the word?
It is though.
What's the word?
It is like
you're a hipster. Why are you a hipster?
Like
you're being such a hipster.
My immune system is just not. It's not. It's a sheep. My immune system is sheep. It's a follower. It's not. It's just terrible. Just kind of kicking myself. But I've been all right, man. Just chewing on ginger and shout out to my mom. African parents always it's how what do you call it?
Ginger, lemon, and honey.
No, take away the lemon and the honey, man. Just chew the ginger. Cut it into just a raw. Have you ever chewed a raw piece of ginger? It's one of the worst culinary experiences you could possibly go through. If
not necessarily. Not necessarily. Do you like sushi?
I like sushi. Yeah, sushi is great.
Yeah.
Sushi.
So you know how they serve like ginger like as a palate cleanser, like with sushi.
But they throw that ginger in like
context.
vinegar and it's softened. I'm talking about just like ginger.
Yeah.
Just
okay,
like
sour,
cut
sour,
it.
fine.
It's terrible. Anyway, so yeah, I've been chewing on ginger. I'm burning my throat. And taking dowers and whatnot. Hoping this thing leaves soon because fam, being sick and tired is just not the best feeling. But anyway, apart from that, just been cool creating life.
Sam, did you hear the news?
Whenever you start like that. What news?
Kenyan men were ranked the most handsome men in Africa. How does this make you feel?
What number is Nigeria? Because I have to rap for my people. I know I'm Kenyan. I identify as Kenyan, but what number was my home people?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen the full rankings.
Because what's my concern with Kenyan men?
Let me see. Oh my god! Like I can't believe I'm typing. Sam, I can't believe I am typing into my laptop. African men
look at your search
rankings.
Look at what your search history is going to. Your search history is going. There's no aura in your search history.
I don't know. It's I don't know where this. I don't even know where this.
And I don't believe it too, right? Because isn't handsomeness subjective? Isn't beauty subjective? So what like metrics and criteria? No, because we're not doing this. What metrics and criteria did they use to determine all the African men, and out of all the African men, the majority of Kenyan men are handsome? How did they figure that out? That's what I want to know. That's the kind of science I'm interested in.
Who cares, bro?
What do you mean, who cares?
Listen, Kenyan men.
Aren't you interested in truth?
Bro.
Aren't you interested in some what do you call some standardized measuring
Sam, you'll be happy to note that Nigeria is second. So me being half Kenyan, half Nigeria just shows
I don't even think Nigeria
should. My potential is just like my potential is just insane.
Best of both worlds.
Ethiopia was third. That's valid. Ethiopia always has to be in the top 5 in everything.
I'd put Ethiopia and Eritrea, more Ethiopia than Eritrea though. I put Ethiopia ahead of Kenya, Nigeria. I threw the Middle Eastern countries ahead of. Maybe let's keep Ethiopia one for the sense of Pan-Africanism. But then
I completely disagree. I think Kenya and Nigeria well deserved. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna take the mantle because somebody needs to speak, and I feel like I have been bestowed that honor. So, on behalf of Kenyans and Nigerians, just like to say thank you guys for voting us the most handsome people in the continent.
Such a bogus report.
We try our best. We try our
most
best.
Handsome man in Africa. You can't do most. It's subjective.
Easy.
It's nonsense. It's not. But maybe,
Sam, stop stepping on my thank you speech.
Bro, my bad, bro. Like, yo, go ahead. Sorry.
Yo, listen. I just want to say thank you guys. Thank you guys. And thank you guys. Yes, Sam, you were saying?
Dedicated 3 minutes of this podcast talking about handsome men is ridiculous.
By the
I
way,
need to
this
see
is
the
a
stats for
podcast
I
about
need
the
to see
music
this-
industry.
Somehow, right? Somehow we'll get to that. I need to see the stats for the ladies, the young women. If you were to speculate, where would you think?
Bro, oh my God, are we talking about this on the podcast?
Yes.
Kenyan women would be number one for me,
all right.
always. Always, man.
So the news.
And then closely followed by Ethiopian women.
Because you were going to Cape, I don't even know why I felt that. Speaking of Nigeria,
I'm
speaking
being
of
serious,
handsome
bro.
Nigerian men, well, I don't know if we can do that. Can we do that? Speaking of handsome Nigerian men, there were a few handsome Nigerian men in the country.
Yo, this podcast is off the rails, bro.
I blame it on influenza. I blame
in
it
the House
on
of Commons.
blame it on influenza. That's the problem.
But me, I don't have anything to blame it on.
Yeah.
I
That's just
blame it on. I'm not, but I am getting a cold as well, so I'm blaming
No.
it on that for sure.
Get your own thing. Nope. You get your own thing.
Why?
Nope. Be your own person, man.
Okay, tell us about the Nigerian men who are in the country.
I mean, is there much to say? I don't. Mavin's doing like a tour, so there are a bunch of artists who showed up, a bunch of talented, young men. I think Bayani is part of them. What's the other guy?
Magix and Boy Spice were also part of the
Boy
crew.
Spice of Mavin Records, the same label as Rema and Ira Star, by the way. If you haven't heard of them, Bayani had a huge hit. I don't know where he went to. Just disappeared. Magix and Boy
After
Spice
Ta Ta
haven't.
Ta, like everything
Yeah.
just kind of slowed down for Bayani. I'm not gonna lie.
Super cold. Yeah. But
But
yeah, they're in the country.
Yeah, they were, and I think the thing was branded Niger to Nairobi, the East Side tour, and they performed at the Red Room at Life Plaza, sponsored by Trace, Martel, Africa Centric. I do remember seeing them when they were having the press conference. So Africa Centric in the building, as well as Hustle Sasa. Shout out to Kina Steph. So yo man, so one of our so we interviewed, remember guys, by the way, speaking of interviews, before I forget, y'all go check out our interview with Abigail Diana on Gaza Volume. That was last episode. But I was talking about the interview we did with Alfayo. He works for UMG East Africa now. And yeah, just seeing them like, you know, buddy with Kinabayani, Magix. We interviewed Alfayo. He was actually our second ever interview.
Yeah. And one of my favorites
yeah,
too.
man.
It was just cool.
Bro. Yeah, what he was really good, cool, and has so much information. So for me, the first thing I thought when I saw Bayani, Magix and Boy Spice is like, y'all need to get them in the studio ASAP, bro. Because we have UMG artists now with Njerai and Kim Life. Bro, Kim Life would be a slam dunk to collab with these guys.
Kim needs to have like 2-3 songs at least with each of them. I don't know how. Have you ever been in the studio with him? Is he quick? Is he quick with like the music creation? Like, do you know?
Oh, I've made a bunch of music with Kim Life. I've recorded him like on 3 songs. There's one he did on one of my beats, but I don't think that's ever coming out. And there was another one. Actually, it was also on my beat for the other one. And it was can I even say that right now? Because that song is also okay, I can say it. It was a studio session with Kim Life was in there, Sabiu was in there. Who else was in there? I think it was Swahili Papi as well. It was actually a very interesting studio session. And everybody was so impressed with Kim Life because his ability to come up with melodies on the spot really, really fast. He's actually very, very good at songwriting.
That's
very
cool.
good at songwriting. I can't even lie.
They should jump. They should like just I don't know how long they're here for, but they should section off some studio just for like the entire time.
But talk about timing, bro. I think they have already gone. I think they performed in Uganda. But talk about timing though, because like Kim Life and you look at Mavin, like bro, it's just the perfect like marriage there. You know what I mean? Like
wait, what do you mean? What do you mean by perfect marriage?
Because he represents their sound. I know Kim Life, and at least he's like a portal for them to the East African scene.
Yeah. Do you think he's
because he obviously.
Go ahead. Sorry, sorry, I cut you off. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say because he obviously like adds his own like Kenyan spin to his songs. Although obviously he uses a lot of like melodic styles that you would find like in West Africa, but he's doing it like in a Kenyan way. So it's like, oh, okay, so maybe we can. And you know, the thing is about like labels and stuff like that, they never like to take risks, by the way. Let me just break it for you guys, man. These guys never like to take risks. So Kim Life would be perfect because he's not risky in the sense that, yes, he's East African and could open you up to an East African market, but he sounds like something that their audiences would be familiar with.
They're ready. They've heard it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good because they don't want to be risky and go for somebody that's way out of the box. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like Kim Life would be, especially for like that group of music, I feel like Kim Life would be an easier... I'm not trying to make this sound bad, but I feel like it would be an easier collaboration than one of the like our Afro, like the, I don't know, we need to find a name for the genre, but then the Afro pop that we usually have here, you know, and the specific sound. I feel like I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
I agree with that statement.
I feel like it's an easier collaboration. I'm not saying that it's the. I'm not saying that there's no there's a lack. How do I put this? I'm not saying that they shouldn't collaborate or anything like that. I'm just saying that maybe, like, for example, if they get in the studio, it might be easy just because the styles are similar. If that makes any sense. Yeah, no, and that's not to take away from what these other guys are doing.
But we've seen like Bien and Ira Star, and we've talked about this song so many times.
Yeah, but we haven't seen it that much. Though. We haven't seen like a lot of collaborations between East Africa and West Africa. At least recently.
I see what you mean.
So, and Kim Life definitely has
definitely
more of the West African print in his sound. So
he does. Yeah, but definitely want to see Jerai on one of these guys' songs.
Oh yeah,
bro, that would be insane. And usually, like, I think if we just randomly see like Bayani on an Jerai song, it happened this weekend. So that's great to actually see that happening in real time. Yeah. But here's my question though. So we've talked a lot about the savviness of the West African music scene and how they love, and I'm gonna just say it, they love to use our
market
industry as a stepping stone. One, for marketing, and two, for artist development. They use us a lot for this purpose, especially with their smaller artists. They did bring Rema. Last year. I feel I saw somewhere
felt very obligatory. It looked obligatory.
It did,
honestly.
Well, I saw someone on social media a little bit iffy about them bringing Bayani, Boy Spice, and Magix because, unfortunately, and with the way music goes, you know, you could have a hit. I mean, Tatata was insane when it came out.
Yeah.
But they're kind of cold right now. So do you think this is an attempt for
to hit them back up? Are they having to go through the tour again to see if they can start something? I don't know, man.
Okay, Sam, let me just give you, wait, hold on. But let me just give you an opinion. I'm sorry. Each time I saw them, and this could be completely wrong, because I'm just going off of what I saw on social media. Like, Bayani just looked completely like, I don't want to say disinterested, but maybe that's his like personality. Maybe he seemed like he was like, you know how like when your parents force you to like, I don't know, do something, and you're
going to your auntie's
like
place, and they don't have no one your age. They have nobody your age, just all uncles and aunties, and no one is going to talk to you.
Just like
you're going to be the one taking the plates back to the kitchen. You're going to be the one serving people
exactly.
juice.
Ama, this
what
is
it
Don
looked like.
Jazzy telling them, y'all need to go and get things hot again. So
Yeah.
you must do these things. Like, no negotiation.
I mean,
Do
it
you
could
think
be.
that's what they were being told?
It could be. It could be because and it might be difficult for them too, just because the stars of that group, the stars of that label, right?
Hey, pun intended.
The stars. Well, yeah, you're so quick with recognizing puns. That's good. Just relax. The stars.
Wait, you didn't do that intentionally?
No, not at all. The stars of that group are just. I feel like they're just so much more elevated in terms of their stardom. Yeah, fine, you've had 1-2 hit songs, you might be buzzing in the streets, but then to attain that, and of course the label's goal would be to have 7, 8, 9 of those, right? Almost everyone on the label, they want to be as hot as that. It's a lot of work, but that's what they want because that's more money. So in their defense, you know how the music industry works. Like, yeah, you can release like a smash, or you could write a couple of good songs, but it's very difficult without combined effort from yourself and the label to maintain or to reach those heights. So maybe it's just been like quiet for them a bit, and the label's like, all right, we need to get things going, or else we figure another configuration for our partnership. And I mean, this is all speculation, but you know, sometimes you can see it. Sometimes, and as consumers of music, sometimes you can just see it. Like, you can just see it. It's not rocket science. Like, yeah, maybe it's just like, fam, like, why am I around all of these people? Like, it could be entitlement where he probably feels like, oh, no, let me remove him from it. It could be entitlement where the artist feels like they are maybe better than that, or they've done more to be, like they feel like them being like paraded around sort of is beneath them kind of deal. So maybe that's it. You don't know, but it's been cool for them. So the label will do
it's been
anything to
cool
get
for them.
Get them hot.
And I think we've said this before, like the Nigerian labels know, and they've looked at the analytics, and they know that the Kenyan market consumes a lot of Afrobeats. So it just like makes so much sense to have them come out here like consistently. I think we also need to start doing the same things.
I was just about to say that, yeah.
Seen. Yeah, I mean, we've seen Jerai announce her Australia tour, which is cool. And I think there is obviously a connect there. Like, there's somebody who is making these tours possible in Australia. Yeah, possibly because they've identified a diaspora that will consume that music, which is cool. But I would like to see, because you see, those artists are going to perform primarily in front of Kenyans. And then there may be other Africans and Australians involved. But I think the difference with what like Mavin is doing with Kina Bayani and Rema when they come here is they're not performing to Nigerians, they're performing to Kenyans. So it's like a very different like audience from what they have back home. So I want to see Kenyans like being thrown into the deep end where they are going to perform in front of people who they don't call home. You know what I mean? So I want to see more Kenyans going to like SA, like introducing them, like, you know, taking Jerai to South Africa, or taking Jerai, Kim Life, and whoever they have else in their label to South Africa and parade them around like Bayani, Magix, and Boy Spice, you know? Parade them in front of a South African audience, or, you know, take them to, I don't know, where else do you think they listen to Kenyan music? Botswana, or wherever, you know what I mean?
Mozambique,
like in Africa,
Libya.
Take them to Mozambique, man. I think that would be interesting to see.
On your point, and just revenue wise, right? It's not. There's a cap on exporting Kenyan artists to Kenyan consumers in other countries. Like, there's just a ceiling. It's much more profitable to figure out how to export them to different cultures, you know. And so like I agree with you in terms of like it's
And
probably,
it's much more exciting.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like there's that element of like unpredictability. How is this new artist gonna be received in front of an audience? That, although that being said,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say it's not like Mavins are also just like doing something unpredictable because they're relying heavily on analytics, but still, it's exciting, you know.
And that's how you also gauge like how your music industry market is doing. Like back, because here at home we're really just, we're within our walls. We understand what's going on. We understand the sound and everything. But then, it's once you export it and see how other people receive it, that's when you can clearly gauge that, okay, maybe this might be successful. This is not. This is a direction to go in. We need to, fix this 1-2 things in terms of image, in terms of the sound. And yeah, but no, it's I mean, all around, it's still a good thing, man, to see our artists start getting exposed to other markets like they have,
and I think
recently.
And I think Boutros did that when Angela was popping off. I believe Boutros went to, is it Fiji? He went to one of those like
I don't know if it was Fiji.
Island.
That would be interesting if he went to Fiji. Imagine Boutros in Fiji.
So the reason was because the song was blowing up over there. So they also relied on analytics to inform their decision. And I like that because he wasn't going to perform in front of a Kenyan audience. Now, guys, I'm not this isn't shade about how people go and perform in front of diaspora, because obviously the diaspora will spend a lot of money and it's nice and it's whatever. Like, I'm not throwing shade on that. I'm just saying, like, it's exciting to like really, really introduce like artists to like new audiences, you know what I mean? And we want to see more of that. And I also do like the fact that people go and perform in front of diaspora and stuff like that. I also like that. I'm just talking about this other approach to artist development. So, hey, listen, shout out to Mavins and what they have going on. Hopefully Bayani, Boy Spice and Magix can catch a hit.
Yeah, and maybe through all of this, like exporting and exposure, we can return back to the days where like Kenya was on top of the African market. Like, those are the good old days, man, when we were traveling around and our sound was what people wanted to come. The stars of Africa wanted to, sit next to Kenyans and in our industry and our music. So
yeah,
we might be headed there again.
Speaking of being headed there again, and just on the topic of touring and stuff, I just want to mention that Bien finally was granted his O1 permit in the US, which... Stop laughing. Yeah. So essentially, an O1 visa is a non-immigrant visa for individuals with extraordinary abilities in science, education, business, the arts or athletics, or those with extraordinary achievements in the motion picture and TV industries, allowing them to work temporarily in the US. So what this means is that Bien will be able to come to the US and perform, and there wouldn't be these visa issues and like, I can't come to perform because of this, that, and the third. I believe the O1 visa lasts for 3 years and may be extended in 1 year increments. So that's cool, man. Bien can come out here and make some money.
That's actually interesting.
With his music.
I was going to go another direction where I don't know if this is news, but that's a separate issue. Do you think it's going to benefit? You know how, like, again, to parallel the Nigerian industry and Kenyan industry. Do you think, just like, when those stars blow up, like Burna Boy and Davido and them, they all find their way to the West? Do you think it would benefit Bien to do that as well? Because he's been picking up steam. It's kind of like slowed down a bit, but then since his album, like, it's been on an upward trajectory, right? Do you think it will benefit him to go out to the West and try and see how much further he can push it, or do you think he can do it from here? Because he's a champion of the local industry, as far as I know, from what I've seen and heard from him and from other people about him. But do you think it will benefit just solely in terms of benefiting his career to, go out there and get things shaking?
I mean, 100%. Like the answer to that is yes, for sure.
Do you think that's the play?
Yeah, that's the play, 100%. And I think the audiences will gravitate to him because Bien is a funny guy. He gives good interviews.
He has
I think
personality.
He would be a compelling individual. Yeah, he has a personality. So I think people will catch on to his artistry and his humor, and I think that might make him personable. And so he does have potential. So if I'm him, I just have him out here and have him do as much media as they can, and just try and introduce like his personality to this audience, see if they will gravitate to that.
Oh no, I'm talking about like moving and operating primarily from there.
Oh, that's your question.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, I see. It's like how all those like Alte artists are always
you blow up, and you hop on a train. On a plane, sorry, or a train.
Nah, I don't think Bien should move. I think that will slow him down.
Okay. In what way?
Yeah, I mean, because there hasn't been like as much uptake of his music internationally as there is here. So I think if they look at the analytics and they begin to see that shift and they're like, wow, there's so many people listening to his music in the UK, for example, then maybe you'd think about it and it's consistent and they've looked at this like for a period of time, like 2 years. Then maybe it's something to consider. Though I look at Bien's numbers, let me just look at Bien. If I look at where his music is mostly listened to, it's gonna be in East Africa. And so I would be a bit hesitant to make that move. Yeah, his music is listened to in Nairobi, Lagos, Dar es Salaam, Kampala, and Abuja. So I don't know if I would be willing to like do that with Bien. I think it will slow him down, genuinely. But yeah, it's something to consider. If they look at the analytics and it makes sense. But me personally, no, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, Bien, that's advice from Afam.
Bien. Yeah. Because he clearly needs advice from me about his music.
Oh, come on. It's you though, right? It's you. It's you, Mr.
Of course, the boy.
A&R.
It's the boy, man.
Yeah. Don't refer to yourself as the boy.
When
we need to stop this trend. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of this trend.
Why?
We need to. You don't refer to yourself as the boy. The boy.
Why?
That's such a narcissistic thing to do.
No.
It's the boy.
It's quite narcissistic. I'm not gonna lie. Let me see. How do I tie narcissism to the next?
You can't. It's okay. Yo, it's okay to just introduce what we're talking about next. There doesn't have to be some really cool over-engineered segue.
I can. No, actually, I can tie narcissism to the next thing I want to talk about. Kecobo. Talk about a narcissistic organization.
That's like a 3 out of 10, but all right.
No. That's actually a great transition, man. Yeah. Shout out to myself. High five. So anyway, Kecobo, they are scumbags. But primarily why I want to talk about them is because they are finally granting the other 3 CMOs 6-month licenses after the High Court ruling, which, by the way, they refused. Not refused, but they kind of did not seem like they were interested in going along with the ruling. And I believe that all came out of Camp's appeal against Kecobo issuing the license to Pavrisk and Pavrisk only. So, guys, if you're sitting down, you need to be standing up for this news because our CMOs will be dedicatedly collecting the royalties for us on our behalf again.
Stand up for this. Don't stand up for this. Stay seated.
So essentially, for me, I feel like this news just means nothing. or it means something for like the high tier artists, like the BNs, or like the high earning like gospel artists who actually get paid their royalties.
Yeah.
For the regular artist, this means absolutely nothing. In fact, our lives will be unchanged by this
This
news.
just-
like there is no difference in my life whether you guys are supposedly correcting are supposedly collecting royalties or not.
You're in Kenya for how long?
So apparently bro, 5 weeks, man.
Oh man. Messed your whole tongue up.
And there's a funny there's a funny trend that was going on TikTok about like your actual like
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I know what
the
you're talking about. when your accent
you
slips
know what
out.
I'm talking about. Yeah, when your accent slips out,
The South
man,
African
that's
ones
me
are
right
hilarious. Oh my goodness. South Africa and Jamaica take that, man. That's so funny.
So Kecobo now are pretending to be strict because they've put some guidelines. So they're like, all 3 CMOs must account for royalties collected between 4th June 2024 and 4th April 2025. There should be a detailed distribution plan that's submitted to Kecobo, adhering to the 70-30 distribution. And then there should be evidence of compliance with this rule that's provided within 3 months of the license issuance and blah, 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 blah. I feel like Kecobo are trying to sound like they're doing their job. Like, yo, you know what I mean? Like we are enforcing the rules.
This is like when you get caught doing something you're not supposed to do, and then your parents are in the room, and then now you have to overcompensate. And now you're even looking at your siblings like, no, that's not how you do it. Remember how you're supposed to do it. And then you're even showing them going extra. This is what Kecobo is doing. This is so... Yo, listen, at some point we will have a point to all this CMO drama. At some point, there will be a point to all of this. While right now we're just recording everything that's going on, but at some point there will be a positive.
No, Sam. It only but it only ends. It only ends if people like if there's mandamano with artists. That's only way it ends.
Yeah.
I'm being so for real. Like if we figure out ways to stifle the CMOs from just benefiting from us, because I see all these things. Even there was like a whole thing about how there was a fake letter for Ezekiel Mutua like being dismissed from MCSK, and apparently it's somebody who used to be in the board and he was salty and was doing this and that. And you look at the way all these people fight over these CMOs, and it's because there is so much to gain individually because this just so I'm just saying like they steal so much money, and there is so much money actually being collected by these societies that it's worth fighting for, and that's why we see them fighting so hard about it. I think the only way this ends is if we realize that all these games being played are for their own benefit. And by there, I mean like the CMOs and the people who are the CEOs of this company, of these whatever organizations. Like once we realize that they're just playing around with our money, then we all stand up and we figure out ways to like, I don't know, get in between the process of them and the collection of our rightful money, then we will make some real progress. Other than that, everything is just fluff. It doesn't matter who takes who to court and who becomes the news.
They could be all in on it.
And whether
as far as we know.
It doesn't matter if Prisk changes its name to Pavrisk and then changes its name to Pavrisk and Pavrisk. No, it does not matter. Like they could do everything in their power to like rebrand and change and say we're doing something different. We just need to like all like put pressure on them.
I mean, I saw
physically.
Yeah, I saw a news report where I don't know how true it is, but then a news report of the EACC being after Ezekiel Mutua for giving himself 22 million like as a salary for a year. Like his salary was supposedly 480, and he bumped that up to like 1.1 million or something like that, giving himself 100,000 monthly for entertainment allowance and things like that. We don't know how true that is.
That's more than 100% increment.
Yeah, but it's stuff like that. That's if that's true, then that's ridiculous, right? That's ridiculous because then the artist gets a 2,000 shillings M-Pesa at the end of the year. And it's not Ezekiel's song that was playing on the radio, was it? It's ridiculous.
I think we just need to have a man.
Yeah, there needs to be a change, and there needs to be a real effort by the artists to try and figure it out. And when you say mandamano, it's also like in the mentality of the artists. Like we can't just sit around and say, "Oh well, like this is it, right? This is sort of what we've been dealing with." But then we have to figure out how to push for that. So hopefully we do. Hopefully at some point it might take a little bit more now, but then hopefully we get to the point where artists actually feel the need to care about this stuff past just the conversations, because there's a lot of conversations about it, but just past the conversations.
I think once people see how much money these guys collect, because they collect a lot of money, then it'll become real.
If they see how much how much they collect, and you're able to track it, and you see how much of that is yours, now it gets serious. Now people wake up in the morning at 5 a.m. to go camp outside of offices. Shout out. No,
anyway,
don't shout out to them.
No, we're not shouting them out.
Is there something opposite of a shout out? That's what we're giving the CMOs, man.
Calling out. I think a call out is like the opposite of a shout out. So we're calling out all CMOs. Kecobo being number one.
Of a shout out. What next? What else? What else is there?
No, I wanted to talk about Mdundo just slightly. So Mdundo put out like a press release saying that they're launching a strategic review that could lead to change in ownership, merger, strategic investor, or other consolidation. And I read the article in depth and I came out more confused than when I started reading the article because I didn't really understand. So for me, it just looks like this is, what's the why? And I think the why is, I think one, it's an advertisement for, because I think they're trying to like, because I think they're looking for new investors. They always never lack the chance to kind of mention how much revenue they're making and also their increased subscriber growth and monthly average users and stuff like that. Second thing was they called out our telecom services. They kind of mentioned that they've had a slight dip in their revenue estimations. Because they are relying, or 75% of Mdundo's revenue comes from the telecom institutions. I think we know which ones there are. Wink, wink. And I think it's based off of the fact that most Kenyans don't use credit cards, debit cards, and don't use that, like, so we don't pay for subscriptions as much as like the West does. So they kind of figured out this new model, and they're like, even that new model that we figured out, it's not paying so much. So I found that a bit worrying. And I mean, we talked about the whole IFPI report recently and how shameful it is for Africa to only be generating, in quotes, $100 million while the rest of the world generates 26 or $29 billion, right? So now, Sam, if streaming or people are not purchasing subscriptions, and then even the only way that we really interface with these things using telecom services, wink, wink, is not working, then what is, how do we get people to pay for music in our country? So that was the second thing that stood out to me. Like, it was those two things. One, they're trying to sell this company, and two, we might have a huge problem if even the telecom services are not paying.
Mdundo is heavily reliant on telecom services, and the rest of the streaming world is sort of moving away from that. Like, it's still a struggle paying. I think it's slightly better, but then paying for Spotify and like Netflix with M-Pesa. Like that's still a really it's not as straightforward, and sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so I feel like Mdundo's the way they're operating just doesn't work well with the streaming, with the way the world is going in terms of consumption, and that might be an issue for them where they might have to like. I know they started in 2013 I think. Maybe that model that they have held on that they've built the identity around, that might need to shift, and maybe that's partly what is in their mind with this whole restructuring. Of course, that's just speculation, but I don't know. It's interesting. It will be interesting to see how they move on again, just because of their reliance on the telcos, and if that's still going to continue. But yeah, this does look like a. It looks like they're pointing fingers out in the open, like they're warning the telcos, like, "Hey, y'all get yourself straight."
Sam, what do Kenyans spend money on?
So, oh man, I was about to let me relax, because this is how you get cancelled in society.
What? Wait, why? What?
No,
okay, let me not set you up.
I was about to just jump out of the window and just say something crazy. What do people? Family, food,
family. Okay, food.
Yeah, food. What else?
Okay, but when we're talking about recreationally, what do Kenyans spend money on?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Because
I really thought about that.
The reason I ask is because, like, how do we how would you convince like Kenyans en masse to purchase music, or is it even possible?
That's something that is. I think that's another thing where my cultural answer comes. If we make culture important, the consuming of our own culture important, then we might start valuing consuming culture as a whole. I mean, yeah, consuming culture as a whole in whatever form it's presented to us, and music is one. So, but other than that, like, just to make, I feel like we're not primed to make music subscriptions and all that other stuff like the common way of consuming this stuff. I don't know. It's just, I get why you're asking. I don't have like the answer for that. I'm not sure.
Man, because I could have. There's so many. What do I think?
Yeah. How do you think we can get
imagine a world where all the matatus, right? Because every Kenyan will spend money on transport, right?
Yeah.
So imagine a world where you had Spotify sponsored matatus, Apple Music sponsored matatus, and all this and the above. And then now you had like matatus that only played urban tune, or matatus that only played trap, or matatus that only played drill, and this and that and the third.
But that only works if the artists have been compensated, right?
Yes, exactly. But then a percentage of the money that comes from then if you had a way to monitor how much music is played, like in a day, for example, in a matatu that only plays drill music, right?
Yeah.
Let's say there's a matatu that primarily plays like just like Kenyan drill, Kenya Brooklyn Boys and all that stuff, right? And then a percentage of the fare goes to remunerating like the artists through the streaming platforms. That's what I'm like, because how else are you gonna make Kenyans pay for music in a way that won't be too like intrusive?
Yeah. And
that's such a far-fetched idea that would never happen. I'm just trying to think about like how.
Even in stores, you know how like when you walk into like a supermarket, and they are playing like EDM, like it starts with making it. All of this only works if we're able to properly, and to go back to our whole CMO conversation, if we're able to properly collect revenue for the songs. If not, even the whole matatu thing doesn't it falls apart. But then, like, if you go to a mall or wherever you go, and they're playing music outside, right? And you make it mandatory that a specific amount of music has to be local, it has to be Kenyan, whatever genre it is, and then now that's an easier way for us to consume, and then figure out a way. Yeah, but the question is now just figuring out a way how that works with the artist and the consumer, and how the consumer ends up paying for that by just being in the space, without having to introduce like really weird things like taxes and whatnot, which is, we don't need any more of those, right?
Bro, I'm telling the person who figures out how to harness this is gonna be so rich. Because, bro, it's just like
they should make it free, like Bitcoin.
So how do you monetize? How do you monetize free attention? Like, because listen, if the biggest music was put on YouTube, right? Or let's say was put on YouTube for Kenyans, right?
Yeah.
Let's say Travis Scott released a song and it was on YouTube, and we just monitor how many Kenyans will listen to that. Like, a lot of Kenyans would, because it's free, right? But if it's on the streaming subscriptions, that number is very limited. So, like, it's not like we don't consume things. We consume things, and we consume things a lot. Like, Kenyans consume a lot of media.
Yeah.
But usually we like to consume a lot of media on free platforms, or we'll figure out ways to pirate. So how do we, and that's not a problem, because even like we saw, that's how Spotify was incepted, by them pirating a lot of music using Pirate Bay in, where was it, Sweden or wherever. So how do we shift that narrative, or how do we monetize free?
How do we monetize attention? That's a very very important question.
Because Sam, genuinely speaking, I don't see a future, even in the next 10 years, where you can convince me that the average Kenyan will want to spend $10 a month to pay for music.
I mean, I feel
even
like
in
if the economy changes,
years, I don't see that.
No, but if the economy changes, I feel like it would open up more people to do that, I think, and it will shift the percentages
I agree.
upward.
But Sam, realistically speaking,
do
you see that happening?
Projections.
We can't just go off projections, because obviously,
difficult.
Yes, if our country was all of a sudden like just like we were in an economically splendid place, like for sure, like people will have more disposable income to spend for more things than just like survival. But I'm talking about being realistic. I don't see it happening even in the next 15 years, where the average average Kenyan is comfortable spending $10 a month, or on subscriptions for music. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't see it. So we need a solution to that. We need a solution to that, because the longer we don't have a solution, the less people will invest into our sector, and then the less money will be able to generate as a result. And that just means that across the board, like, the artists aren't gonna like benefit or become like mega stars. Or we might have situations like you posed earlier, of artists seeing their potential as being better elsewhere, and then moving and trying to like make it in America or the UK, for example, which is what all these guys, Kina Wizkid, they're basically based elsewhere. Bro, we need to figure it out, man.
We do. I'm sure there's some brilliant minds that could get on this and use the systems that we have. Like we said, telecommunication is a really big part of people's lives, especially in terms of commerce with like M-Pesa and things like that. So using just the systems that we have in place already to try and figure out how to make it work for art and artists. It's an important thing.
Clearly it's not working with M-Pesa, as we've seen with Mdundo. So
yeah.
I don't know. This is the problem. And whoever finds this solution and finds it in kind for all the other African countries, billionaire. It might even be going into not trillions. That's exaggeration, but you will make a lot of money. Trust me. Anyway, bro.
Until the labels come and buy you out, and then back to square one. Is there something else?
Back to square one.
We get into music.
Nah, I don't think there's anything else. Yeah, we could get into new music, bro.
New music. I have a little bit of a short. I don't want to call it a rant, because I don't want it to sound like I'm hating on this gentleman. But the OG dropped the Book of Jones volume. Is it volume? First chapter. I was going to say volume 1. First chapter, number 1. I had absolutely no idea that Khaligraph was dropping an album. And I usually would excuse that.
That's true.
I usually would excuse that. But it seems like that's been like a thing for him where like a week before or less than a week before, you see a billboard with his picture on it talking about he's dropping an album. I feel like he just needs... I feel like he needs... This is going to sound bad. I totally don't mean it in a bad way. But you're not too big of an artist to do a rollout, like, and prepare your fans for what you have.
You don't think Kali Cartel 5 was part of his rollout?
Kali Cartel
in
5,
a way, now that we look at things.
Okay. Now that I look at it, yes, it was part of his rollout. But there's also an art in the rollout, right? So Kali Cartel was cool, but Kali Cartel is sort of has a life on its own. It can exist outside of his project, and no one would think twice about it, right? Of course, he included it in his project. It's an 11-minute song. I think the average number of songs is around like 3 minutes 50, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, right? So it definitely stands out within the project, and it does not completely communicate what the Book of Jones first chapter is about, right? So in just my opinion, I feel like maybe he could do more in terms of just doing a release. He's one of the artists like a lot of younger, the newer rappers look up to, right? And maybe there could be a better way to communicate his projects and just like prepare your fans, man. Like you need to prepare your fans for what you have coming. But apart from that, yeah, man.
So okay, I'm gonna say the first time he publicly mentioned at least on Instagram was on the 10th of March, where he was like, big announcement loading, keep streaming Kali Cartel 5.
Yeah.
So that's the 10th of March. When did this project come out? So I don't know what. So guys, I'm gonna
April.
just preface this by I'm not the biggest Khaligraph fan out there. So
well, you didn't need to say
his. I don't follow his career that much, so I don't know how much he did in terms of posting about like something coming or whatever.
No, but even though like you know, like when there's an album rollout, somehow it gets to you. Like you know that there's a project releasing somehow. It's engineered, it's crafted in a way that it carries in conversation, even conversations too. And that's the aim of it, right? In terms of the singles you put out and the visuals and whatever you do, is to carry it further than your usual fans would. The line of your usual fans, like further than that line. And you just don't hear anything. It's almost like a surprise drop every single time. And that's something that we need to do better, I think. And also the art of picking a single, I think, is something that we also should focus on. And just being more intentional about the type of singles that we pick for projects and things like that. Anyway, but yeah, that's just my little rant on that, because a lot of people are checking for Khaligraph's music, obviously. Yeah. It's just that sometimes I feel like maybe he could present it a little better. But apart from that,
how did you find the music?
10 songs, a couple of, big names on there. He had, of course, he did the Kali Cartel, which had a bunch of people on it. He had Files from Nigeria on there. Mordecai Dex is on there. Yashinsky is on there. Timmy Blanco is on there as well. A couple of other people with productions from Vince. DJ Prod Luigi is on there a couple of times, and a few other people. So yeah, that's cool. In terms of the project, I don't know. Didn't really... He's a big enough artist
It
that I
didn't
expect
tingle your
more.
ear hairs.
No, for the first time, my ear hairs were not tingled. No, he's a big enough artist that I just expect more from him, and I don't want that to sound harsh. I just think he can, if he locks in properly, like I feel like he can. I feel like the quality could go up. There's a thing that they keep doing with the mixing that I was telling you that just frustrates me in terms of like, and he's done it not just here, but he's done it in previous songs where his reverb almost sounds very mono. It's like a signature sound for him at this point, right? Because he's done it a lot. But then it's hard to gel his vocal with the beat, sort of, with that style of mixing, you know. So that's something that kind of threw me off. It makes it difficult to listen to when there's just like there's a presence of reverb just behind him. You know, reverb is supposed to be almost inconspicuous if it's not creative, and just create space for rather than be audible.
They just put the. So guys, so this is production 101. So sometimes, so not production but mixing, engineering. So what people will do, right? So just to try and break it down, so reverb is like, I think in layman's term would be like the echo. Is it echo?
Yes, it's an echo. It is echo. That's
although it's not like a long echo that will sound like a delay, but it's just like the echo that you hear that makes your voice sound kind of like
you're in a room. Like, you know, when you enter an empty room, like you walk into a bathroom, you know you're in a bathroom just because of how your voice sounds and changes. Yeah.
Explaining things is actually not as easy as you think.
Yeah, for us,
especially when
because
you're so
it's something that we're so used to.
Inundated with the technicalities.
Yeah, it's something we're very used to, that it's like, all right, how do I explain
so basically,
this
what Sam is saying is what they're doing with Khaligraph's vocal is they are just putting the reverb, like, which is viewed as an effect, they're just putting it on his entire vocal, which drowns out like his sound in some way, and also doesn't blend well with the rest of the beat. It doesn't blend well,
and that's the issue. Because reverb is
what most people do is they'll add reverb. So they'll have Khaligraph's vocal as a separate. So what you're supposed to do when you're mixing vocals, you have somebody's vocals kind of dry as a separate thing, and then you'll add the effects as a separate thing, and then you'll blend them separately so that now they merge in the middle. And then now you kind of determine how much you want it to sound more like the dry version and have some of the wet elements, or like the what you'd call like the affected elements, such as the reverb, instead of just taking the dry version and completely plunging it in water and then like hoping for the best. You know what I mean?
Best.
Instead you'll kind of want the effect to be like an addition. And then now in your ears it will sound like it's blended, but actually it's separate.
Yeah. The vocal is just
so that's what we're trying to describe.
Yeah.
But
sorry, hold on. Before you continue, and just shortly, I think, and that's has been part of my critique is I really do wish we create a culture of just having. Now, I don't know who makes this project and everything, so I'm not really talking about this, but just in general, it's just having people's, especially your projects, your albums, having them mixed by not a part-time engineer, you know, but someone who knows about sonics and just how to make things blend and what and the culture and the sound of the region and just how to make that work well. I think a lot of the projects we have might sound, let me not say might, they probably will sound much better if they're engineered a lot better, if we step away from the person who recorded it is the one who's going to engineer it.
That's true.
Deal, you know.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, man, shout out to Khaligraph, man. Congratulations on the release. Please
that's
don't take what we've said the hard way.
I'm not gonna lie. Hey, listen, I listened to 6 songs out of 10, and I can't say I heard anything that inspired. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm the worst person to ask because I'm not a big Khaligraph fan.
Yeah,
I don't know. His music doesn't move me. So maybe I'm already starting from a point of
he's
bias.
probably not your demographic. Yeah. It's probably not your demographic.
But it's just not for me. I'm sorry, but like I listen.
But
I tried.
don't take away his
guys.
shout out though. I was in the middle of shouting him out, and then you took away his shout out.
No, shout out to Vince on the beat, by the way.
Yeah, and Khaligraph, and everyone who was involved in this project. Yeah. What else? Ben Soul and Vijana Barubaru VB released Kautamu Flani. Lovely. Chris Kaiga and Cedo enlisted NDOVU for Mwazzara. And yeah, I honestly feel like Chris Kaiga and Cedo are going to come out with that project soon. I think Cedo mentioned that on one of his interviews, that they're working on a full-length project. So, and they've been releasing music steadily for a while now. So very much looking forward to what that's going to sound like and when it's coming. Hopefully it's soon. Yeah, who else released some music? Steph Capella teamed up with GR, ! And Hook. Again, for Head Up, which was cool. And yeah, it's just some rapping. I like it when Steph Capella raps. I think he needs to lock into that a little bit more. He sort of veered off into an Afrobeat bag. But yes, it's good to have you back, Steph. Good to have you back. What else? Brokewood, and yeah, just Brokewood. I think they're a group. They released a song called Songa. What else? I'm trying to see what else. And Ndasamburu did a couple of drops. Mjanja and another one. I can't remember the name. But yeah, I think those are the ones I really paid attention to.
Okay. What did I listen to? Jofis, I Foolish, and Fidel Raid. I don't know too much about Fidel Raid, but they released a song called Chill Guy. You've kind of said everything. EXO released
There's only so
a
much
song
music.
called Breathe. Shout out to EXO as always. 1x3, it's Deco and Shekina Karen. I believe Deco was one of the artists in the
show, the competition, the rapping competition. What is it called?
Yeah.
What was it called again?
I've already forgotten. Gorilla Academy.
Gorilla Academy. Yeah. Ooh, phew, saved ourselves there. Imagine
so shout out to Deco.
Yeah,
shout out to Deco, Shekina Karen.
Others release music too. Just because you didn't win doesn't mean you shouldn't release.
For sure, man. Shekina Karen looks like she's been ignored by Diana Codes. I kind of saw that coming.
What, in the beef?
Yeah,
it's
a very one-sided beef. It's a proposed beef. That's I'm sorry. That's a proposed beef is so sad. That's so sad.
Petition.
Don't you see how sad that is?
It's terrible to get ignored in a beef too. Like, that's the worst thing. Imagine you just gearing up your all and spending all night writing the fierest diss track.
See, that happened to Joe Biden versus Drake, man. Bro came out to Drake.
It's really Joe Biden versus a lot of people if you're looking at it. That guy was beefing with everybody in the industry. No one replied to him.
That's so sad, man. Imagine if you spend like 3 days writing 3 songs and then you just get ignored. Bro, me, I would feel so bad. And then you can't beef about it because imagine
working with your song. You drop the working your song to that person's house front door, ringing the bell, then they open yo, you heard this?
Oh man.
Yo, here's this track I made against you.
I'm actually tearing.
Oh man, sorry. Anyway. It's cool.
Important to mention the very, very, very Kenyan Pink Panthers released a song
you can't keep
called
doing
Tonight.
this.
She's Kenyan. Sam, is she Kenyan?
She was releasing. I think she did a TikTok where she did something about saying cursing in front of an African mom or something like that. I remember I saw it. So I was like, oh wait, she actually tries to identify.
Yes,
maybe it's marketing. Maybe it's marketing. Maybe
It's not.
You've beat the apple.
It's not, man. She's Kenyan, so I'm taking it. A win is a win. But yeah, I think the song. Yo, Pink Panthers, if you're listening to this right now,
Bruh,
there's some
bruh, bruh,
Kenyans who
bruh,
make
bruh,
drum
bruh,
and
bruh.
bass. Anyway, so there's this song I wanna shout out that I think was the one that stood out to me the most, and it's by this new kid on the block. He's called 30, Thelathini. I haven't heard too much about him, but he's on the come up. He released a song with YBW Smith called Bon Appetit. And yeah, man, we were eating good this
is
week with that song, man.
Banging. Love the sample too.
Bro,
it's a
look.
very simple formula.
It's the way he says, but it's the way he says, bro, look. It's so catchy. I don't know why. Why is it catchy?
I don't know. But yeah, it's a very good beat. And I like the flow switch ups too while he was rapping. So
yeah. So anyway, want to shout out to 30, man. Looks like he has a promising career in front of him. So Sam, if you would allow me, I'd love to play the song Bon Appetit. Bro, look. Nakimbiza bridge. I don't know what bridge means. Am I aging myself by saying bridge? I don't know what bridge means. Maybe he'll explain to me when he listens to this. Yeah, maybe I am. But anyway, here's Bon Appetit by 30 and YBW Smith.
Bro, look, nakimbiza bridge. Early morning nakimbiza pesa kileta ujinga delete. Hakuna kitu mtafanya nkimoke kwenyu, you're deceased. Wanadunga motonja kidai food rima, nasema bon appetit. Bro, look, nakimbiza bridge. Early morning nakimbiza pesa kileta ujinga delete. Hakuna kitu mtafanya nkimoke kwenyu, you're deceased. Wanadunga motonja kidai food rima, nasema bon appetit.
Bon appetit. Mbona maniga na switch, mbona maniga na disgaza. Tukisonga tunashikisha jaba, vitu nafanya unarada bana. Mimi na freza kwa doba ni mbaya, busy nafanya idai mafala. Labda kushoda mebeba marasa. Cheki, kumedi na pembi wezi, mboka ni doba na lala weekendi. Nakumbuka tukiwanga tigoni, kuna maninja litundisha body. Ndani makod bike, e-bike kama horse ride. Tuko malap, mazina lacha na call, my time. Titabidi nimesari maho, kama ningori unapigwa block. Kama ningori unapita block, kuna buda anatumia rocks. Kwa stu tuko hide na chop na kina adoa ko on. Skiza, kina adoa ko on.
Bro, look, nakimbiza bridge. Early morning nakimbiza pesa kileta ujinga delete. Hakuna kitu mtafanya nkimoke kwenyu, you're deceased. Wanadunga motonja kidai food rima, nasema bon appetit. Bro, look, nakimbiza bridge. Early morning nakimbiza pesa kileta ujinga delete. Hakuna kitu mtafanya nkimoke kwenyu, you're deceased. Wanadunga motonja kidai food rima, nasema bon appetit. Alisema taspinuku tena, he thinking in me, anadhani ni G. Sizi tokea na bali nataka uone utim, tuchama on feet. Mina ngoja tumi, tunashinda umebonga, msiza ligeuka bitch. Skiza, sizi kwa wakidai drama natokea na kuja, tunakumaliza. Na madoba steady na release, Papa Zani then I'm going geek. Bad bitch ako good with the head, straight aja ako good on her knees. Tunageuza mafala for free, sizi fanya kitu bila team. Anasema nataka tu win na furaha, napata kadela nkisin. Na ifanyia cash shilingi, joku zoza kwetu wa ushindi. Niliacha kumedi na mbogi tumina tingamu, wanikubalingi. Na kuswitch na chua utadaki kifika kubanja unasema mengi. Mina tema na shinda na yapu utakuto magizu, unasema nini? Bro, look, nakimbiza bridge. Early morning nakimbiza pesa kileta ujinga delete. Hakuna kitu mtafanya nkimoke kwenyu, you're deceased. Wanadunga motonja kidai food rima, nasema bon appetit. Bro, look, nakimbiza bridge. Early morning nakimbiza pesa kileta ujinga delete. Hakuna kitu mtafanya nkimoke kwenyu, you're deceased. Wanadunga motonja kidai food rima, nasema bon appetit.
That was Bon Appetit by 30 and YBW Smith.
Yeah.
Bro, look.
Banger.
Anyway, that shit was fire. That shit was fire, man.
Banging beat.
The sample, like Sam said, was insane.
Yep.
And the way they just were interchanging on the beat. Anyway, bro, episode 125. Bro, we're already a quarter way. Okay, fine. I just caught myself being sentimental for no reason. My blood.
No reason at all.
It's in just my blood. It's in my blood.
Unrequested sentimentalism is what you suffer from. It's just...
But Sam, it's in my blood. Why don't you want me to be who I am?
It's just goodness, like you can't help yourself.
It's who I am.
It's who
It's
I
who I
am.
am. I just realized
Be different.
that we're a quarter way to 200.
A quarter.
Like,
look at
that's
the
insane.
milestones we're talking about. A quarter way to 200. How is that significant now? Yo.
In my
Alright.
mind, it is very significant.
In your
And
mind.
I want to thank you guys for listening to the podcast as always. I like to end the podcast, if you're new here, with the 3 C's. And what are those that you ask? Well, these are guidelines that I've kind of set for myself, but I want to share with you guys as well, because life is a journey and I'm not perfect in these things, and I hope to improve in them. And I hope that you guys can improve in them as well. So, number 1, if you're an artist or in any career, you have to be confident. So, confidence sells. That's what people pick up on. If people feel like you're confident about your art, they will listen to what you have to say. So, always be confident. Consistency is key. Like whoever came up with that saying is so right, because ultimately you can be semi-decent at what you do, but if you're consistent, I think it's even better than the person who's supremely talented but only puts out stuff like once in a while. You know what I mean? I think the person who is working hard and is consistent at their craft has more potential in my eyes. I think they eventually break through the mold more often than the very talented people when it comes to the real world. And lastly, craft. Always work on your craft. I think every day you can dedicate some time to working on your craft. Like, you know, I understand that everybody's days are packed and everyone has things that they're doing. But even 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking for. 5 minutes of your time. I sound like I am on the door trying to sell you something. But listen, literally, like if you have 5 minutes in your day to spare to learn how to do something new or learn how to do something that progresses your chosen career path, then you could spend those 5 minutes to doing that, and those 5 minutes will add up at the end of the year, for example. So those are the 3 C's, and I hope they help you, man.
Hope they
Sam.
help you. Yeah.
That was another episode.
Yes. Yes, it was. I was going to say there's something that you had brought up earlier. I've been on TikTok, and there's one guy, I don't even know if he has a name on there. It's just one of those TikTok accounts that like just give life advice, and it just slaps you. And it's something that I guess when we were talking before the podcast, you had mentioned is sometimes I think our brain finds ways to complicate things, again, because of anxiety and just unwillingness to move forward with life. But the solutions that people are seeking are very, very often very often simple. It's not as complicated as we make it sometimes. The path to whatever the success is to you, is a lot easier than we think it is. It just requires discipline. Discipline and intentionality. So that's a really good thing to remember as an artist. Artists tends to have very, very big goals, lofty ideas of where they should be in life and what they should achieve and their legacy and stuff like that. And sometimes it just seems very overwhelming, especially even for me. But the path to that is made easier by motion, and just what's the easiest solution you can go by, and don't worry about fearing, wondering if you've picked the wrong path and whatever it is. Just pick something and go for it, and adjust along the way. It sounds simple and trivial, but it works.
Yeah.
It works. That's that.
All right. With those wise words from Sam,
And
we
TikTok
will
guy.
catch you guys And the TikTok guy. We'll catch you guys on episode 126. We out.